Hey guys, this is Smithy. Welcome to my channel. Today's video is a very special one. We're going to do 5 looks using this Sigma Cool Neutrals palette. I know it's a little controversy on the cool neutral part, but this palette comes with a mirror like every other Sigma palette in this format, and it comes with beautiful 14 shades. It's an equal split of shimmers and mattes. It also comes with a dual-ended brush, which is one-sided, more like a blending brush. The other side is more like a packing brush. I think there are numbers written here. E38 is the blending brush and E54 is the medium sweeper brush. I really like the quality of these brushes. The packaging is stunning. It goes with the packaging of the palette. Let's not forget about the packaging of this palette because this is stunning, like absolutely beautiful. I don't even know if you can see it. These things are like all like glittery and sparkly. Very, very pretty. It also comes with like a sleeve inside to protect the shadows, and it has the same art cover on the packaging too. So let's talk about the palette. I'm doing 5 looks, 4 looks that I already did, so you'll see photographs of it when I'm explaining you what I used where, and the final look, which is the look that you're seeing right now, I did it for you guys with you. I've used every shade in this palette and I really like this palette. Okay. Okay, so once you've seen this palette all in action, let's swatch it out so that you can see all the tones, like tonal difference of this palette, because I want to showcase that too. So let's begin. I'm gonna do like 2 at a time. I feel like that makes more sense, just color wise. So let's start off with the shade Polished, and Polished is more like a toppery shade. Okay, it's like a very toppery, sparkly shade, and you can top this over on top of anything and it'll make it more like toned down and sparkly. I really love this shade. It totally reminds me of the shade Delilah from the I Need a Nude Natasha Denona palette. It's very similar to that. Very stunning. Like, this is beautiful. Let's move on to the corresponding matte shade, which is Volcanic. And Volcanic is more like a mid-tone brown shade, I would say. So let me swatch that so that you can see. There you go. That together would be amazing. Amazing. Like, this palette whole, if you are a 2 shadow person, this is amazing for you. Let's move on to the next column, which is Superior and Burst. Superior is more of like a mustardy tone matte, and Burst is like a traditional dirty gold is what I call shimmer. So let's do that. So that's Superior and this is Burst. There you go. And I'm doing these live swatches just so that you can see it on like a tan skin tone, and it might just help you to make your purchase decision whether you need this palette or not. Okay, let's move on to the next one. The next one is Brazil, which is more like a bronzy shade of this palette. And then we have the shade Harvest, which is like a crease shade, I would say, like a taupey brown, I would say. Let's do that. So that's Brazil. Again, a traditional shimmer in the palette. And this is, what was this? Harvest? Yeah, Harvest, which is like a mid-tone taupey brown shade. I generally use this as like a crease shade to me. So those are the first 3 columns. Let's move on to the 4th column of the palette. Now the 4th one is Fossil and Laguna. So if you like more like mauve tone looks, you would absolutely love this. This has more of that pinky gray tone to it, and Laguna might be my favorite shade of this palette. Okay, it's like a mauve shade with such like tons of sparkle running throughout it. So let's do this. There you go. I hope you can see that, like that mauviness coming through. On the eyes, it really shows up very nicely. Very pretty. And look at the shimmer. So much sparkle and shine. Love that. Like, these two, definitely my favorite things. Okay, let's move on. The next shade is Iris, which is like a lavender shimmer shade. And then we have Talisman, which is more of like that purple gray shade of the matte shade of the palette. So let's do that. Now these 4 will be amazing together too. Definitely need to do a look with these 4. Like, look at that. That looks like a gray. It's not, like it's like a purple gray. Very, very pretty. And that lavender is so light and bright and airy. Very pretty. Okay, let's move on to the deeper grays of the palette. We have Onyx, which I feel like it is like a gray green. I don't know. Am I losing my mind? I don't know. Feels like a deeper gray green. I don't know. The next shade is Thunder, which is more of like a gunmetal silver shade, but again, sparkly. So let's do that. Onyx and Thunder. There you go. So that's Onyx and Thunder. Really, really pretty. Last two shades left. We have Angel Wings and Condor. Angel Wings is like a silvery shade, but it has like pink sparkle running throughout it. And Condor is more like a cooler tone brown shade. Let's do it here on the knuckles. Just so that you can see everything here. So that's the knuckle shades, Angel Wings and Condor. So you can see everything in action, how it looks. Looks very, very pretty, very neutrally in my humble opinion. Like I don't see it as like a warm tone palette or an extremely cool tone palette. I totally feel this as like a neutral palette in my opinion. I really love the performance of these shadows. If you, again, I've said it like a multiple times on this video, if you are like a medium skin tone person, medium tan skin tone person, you'll absolutely love this palette. So those were my swatches. Now let's move on to the 5 looks that I created using this palette. So let's start off with the looks. I'll pop a picture on one side of the screen and I'll say what I used. So basically for the first look, I used Fossil, this pinky shade on the crease, all across the crease, and then I used this Talisman shade on the outer corner and blended out with this pinky shade. And then I used Volcanic, which is this shade, this brown shade on the outer corners. So that was like the mattes in the palette. I also used this all across the lower lash line, blending out with this pink shade. And for the lid, I was dying to use this shade. This was the shade Laguna. So I used this in the majority of the eyelid, and then I blended it out with Angel Wings on the inner third of the lid as well as in the inner corners. So that was my first look, and I absolutely loved the way how this came out. It lasted me for the entire day. I was wearing this on a Monday morning in office, and I absolutely loved the way this sparkled and shined. Like in the middle, when I was like going to the restroom just to check, it was still sparkly, shiny, like vibrant on my eyes, and it is beautiful and elegant. I loved this look. Let's move on to the second eye look. The second eye look was more like bronzy. So I started off with Harvest on the crease, this taupey mid-tone brownie shade, and then I used Superior, which is this mustardy shade, and this ended up turning like pretty similar on my eyes. This is just a little bit more warmth, but yeah, it just mixed up very nicely with each other. Then I used Volcanic shade, which is the same brown shade on the outer corners, and then I used the shade Brazil, which is this coppery bronze shade all across my eyelid. And then I topped it off with this polished shade on top of it, because Brazil is more like a traditional shimmer shade. So I topped this off with polished shade just to give that sparkle and shine. And I also used that polished shade in my inner corners, and I absolutely love the way how that turned out too. It's like a very elegant bronzy eye, but not over the top, if that makes sense. I absolutely love that too. Let's move on to the third eye look. The third eye look, I started off with the Fossil shade, which is that pinky shade across my crease, and then I went with Onyx shade, this one on the outer corners, so this and this, yeah. And then I went with Thunder on the outer portion of my eyelid, and then I went with Iris, which is that purpley lavendery shade. So I wanted more of like a purpley hue to the eye, and this gave so much of sparkle and shine to the eyelid. It was absolutely stunning. And because I think I was wearing like a sagey green top, I wanted to mix that saginess with that purpley tone. So I took like a sagey green from my Ensley Rain Drury Garden palette. This one, the grass shade, and I plopped that in my inner corner. So that's the only shade that I use separately apart from this palette in the entire series, okay? And that was my eye look, and that also came out so beautiful and elegant. It was light, airy, it was still glam and like very sexy kind of looking. I really loved it. And actually I wore that on like a Wednesday. I came back from work around like 6 or something, and then we went out for dinner. So I just touched up my like powder on my face. After coming back to, it was so vibrant and sparkly. I really loved it. Okay, let's move on to the fourth eye look. The fourth eye look, I started with the shade called Superior, which is that mustardy yellow shade, because now my aim was to get like a warmer tone eye. So I started off with this Superior shade, and then I went with Condor, which is this deeper, cooler tone shade in my inner and the outer corners, just to deepen it out a little bit more. And then I went with this shade Burst on the entire eyelid. And then I went with this polish shade right on top of that Burst shade, just to give again a little bit of sparkle and shine. And then I put the shade Burst in my inner corners, and that was so stunning. It was so beautiful. And that is when I realized that the Burst shade, the golden shade, it's not like that yellow gold by any means. It has that dirty gold kind of an effect on the eye. So it's not that warm as you will like feel when you're looking at this palette. So I really loved it. Now, once you've seen all the 4 looks using this palette, let's move on to the 5th look. Absolutely loving this palette. I don't know why are people not impressed by this palette, because I am. I can understand like why lighter tone people would not appreciate this as much as I am appreciating it. I'm more of a medium tan skin tone. Right now, I would consider mine as a tan skin tone, I would say. But even if you are like a deeper dark skin tone, I think this will be amazing for you. Let's do the 5th look together. I'm going to start off with this shade, Talisman, this mauvey purple shade. Let's take that on the outer corners. I did my face makeup already, if you cannot say. I had a few meetings, and then I was like, okay, once my meetings finish, I can film. So that's Talisman. And you can see, like, I definitely can deepen it out, but also after like dispersing all the pigments, I can bring it up to the crease, and it looks amazing. And this definitely would give that smoky gray purple look to the eye. And I think the first look that I did, I used the shade 2 in the outer corners, but this was definitely not the hero of that eye look. I'm also going to take that on my lower lash line. I feel this is super versatile, like this palette, especially if you like an everyday neutral eye look with a mix of like cool tones and warm tones. Truly neutral, I would say. Like, it's not too cool, not too warm, like truly a neutral palette, at least for me. I totally can see you saying like, Smithy, this is like completely warm tone. It's not. When you apply it on your eyes, it's not. Moreover, it has like a little bit of gray tinge to everything that it has. Okay, I'm going to just blend everything out with this shade, which is Harvest, this one. And just blend the edges. Okay, now for the shimmers, what are we gonna do? Let's take this Angel Wing shade that we used actually in the first eye look, but with a very little amount in the inner corners. But let's make this as like the star of this eye look. I'm gonna take that on the majority of the eyelid. It has very little like specks and glitter particles all running all throughout it. But let me show you with like a glitter glue on the other side. I'm taking my NYX glitter glue, just a little bit. I just want to see if it makes a difference or not. I definitely feel like this is much more lighter and brighter. It's a bright shade for sure. but sticks to the eyelid a little bit more as compared to the other eyelid. Now if I want to achieve the same thing on the other eye, what I'll do is basically I'll take that angel wings on a brush and I'll just spray it. And I'll get that opacity that I'm looking for with that brightness too. Can you see that? Immediately it just bumped it up 2-3 notches. Now once we have that, I'm going to take this shade Thunder, which is that gunmetal gray shade. This also has a ton of sparkles. I'm just going to take that on the edge of that lighter tone shimmer shade, blending it with that matte, just so that the transition is a little bit more smoother. It looks like straight up silver-ish kind of a shade on the lid, but it's not. It has like, I don't know what again I say, like it's like a dirty bronze with like pink sparkles running throughout it. It's really pretty. I'm gonna take this Fossil shade and I'm just gonna run it over the edges. Okay, and for the inner corners, I'm gonna take this shade Iris, this one, on the inner corners, just right there, just for a subtle lavender pop. And if you are thinking that you want like a little bit of shimmer and sparkle on the eyelid too, this shade Polished is like a true sparkly shade. It has a little bit of like depth to it, but it mainly is like a shimmery, like a topper shade. So what I generally do with all my eye looks, I just tap it very lightly so that it doesn't change the tone of the eye look, but it disperses that glitter and shimmer just a little bit, and it's amazing. And last step that I'm gonna do is I'm gonna take this shade Onyx, this one, on the extreme outer corners, just a little bit, just right there. See? That I feel like just ties everything together. Okay, I'm going to finish off this eye with some liner and mascara and I'll get right back. And that's my fifth and the final eye look. I love how smoky and glam it can get with this eyeshadow palette. I really love all the 5 looks that I've created. I actually was wearing this eyeshadow palette all throughout the week when I was going to work. So every look that you saw, I basically wore it to office except this one because I'm working from home today. So basically Monday to Friday, everything that you see is what I wore. I really have thoughts behind this palette. I seriously feel if you are more like a medium skin tone or higher, like medium tan, dark, deep, you will love this palette. Especially if you like neutral eye looks, you will absolutely love this palette. If you like a wearable look, but you want it a little bit colorful, not over the top, you'll absolutely love it. If you are more of a light, medium, fair skin tone, I can see this being not a complete palette for you. You would be missing lighter tones in this palette because I feel like some of these tones, like I feel like for me, this and this is basically like a transitioning shade for me, right? But it's a total like a crease shade. I do not have a transitioning shade in this palette for me. So these all can apply like a 2 shadow looks or a 3 shadow looks for me, especially because I'm taking this as a crease shade. This can end up looking like a little bit more like gray toned on me because I do have, I'm a little bit more tan right now. That's why. If I'm a little more fair, I would say like it'll be perfect for you if you're a medium skin tone. Like I feel this is so gorgeous. Like the shimmer, I have tons and tons of Sigma palette. You know that, like from their warm neutrals to their ambience palette. I have a lot more, okay? Corda Rosa palette. I feel like the shimmers are definitely elevated here. I love the shimmer formulas that these things have, like Polished, Laguna, Iris, Thunder. Angel Wings is more like a creamy shimmer that I applied today. but these have like some glitter particles all running throughout it, which I absolutely love. A little bit of shimmer all running throughout the eyelid, and these are more like traditional shimmers, the Brazil shade as well as the burst shade. But I often just tap this all over my eyelid and then top this all on top of it, just to give that glimmer and shine. I love the deeper shade, the deeper mattes in this palette. Absolutely loved all the 5 looks that I created. I do not have a code with Sigma, but do let me know. I think that this would have been helpful. I really hope that this video was helpful for you guys, especially if you picked up this palette on Prime, on Amazon Prime deal, or I know Sigma was doing like a big sale. I think it is still doing a big sale, like 70-75% off on their website. And this was still on sale, and I actually grabbed mine from Amazon and I got it for like $36 or something. I'm very happy with it. Very happy with like an everyday look kind of a palette for me. I really love it. That's all for today. I really hope that this video was helpful for you guys, just to inspire you to create more looks if you have already this palette, or if you have similar shades in your collection. But that's all for today. If you did like this video, you know what to do. Do give it a thumbs up, and also subscribe to my channel if you haven't already, and ring that notification bell so that you're notified every time that I post next. I generally upload 3 videos every single week, every Tuesdays, Thursdays and Saturdays at 9 AM Eastern Standard Time. Until next time, I'll see you guys in my next video. Bye guys.